questions to ask throughout a campaign with a confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Van Cam's reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. I am Eagle-Eyed Nick, aka the Saint of Selhurst, and I am pleased to welcome you to the very first episode of the Premier League Review Show here live on Eagle-Eyed Football. I am not alone in this adventure. I am joined by the Shawn Michaels to my Triple H. I am joined by my brother, Nate. How are you, Nate?
Yeah, man, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. I'm just living life, you know yourself. Just living it up
life,
as we do.
That's how we like it, guys. That's how we like it. So, guys, this is the first ever episode which Nate and I will be leading. This is our own show here, of which we will be reviewing the events of Premier League games across the country. Now, obviously, it's a lot to cover. We've not started at the beginning, so we're starting a little bit late. So I hope you don't mind that. But we are starting with a bumper edition of Premier League games that included London derbies, games that included Merseyside derbies, and long-standing rivalries, and lots of goals. But unfortunately, a weekend mired in controversy with lots and lots of VAR decisions, of which Nate and I will go over and discuss. And if you would like to share your opinion, you can do so in the comments. Please don't forget, if you are enjoying this, let us know by liking, subscribing, and sharing the videos. It does massive amounts for this channel, and we do appreciate it. So, while Nate is working in the background, I will take you through our running order. Now, unfortunately, I've kind of cheated. I'm going to be a little bit unoriginal by copying the match of the day order. So first up is going to be our Brentford versus Leeds, then Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth, Chelsea versus West Ham United, Spurs versus Fulham, Manchester City versus Aston Villa, although flip that around because it was at Villa Park, and then Wolves versus Southampton, followed by Everton versus Liverpool, Manchester United versus Arsenal, and we are finishing with Brighton versus Leicester. Now, you may have noticed we've just left two teams out, that being Newcastle United and Crystal Palace. There's a reason for that. We have decided that in order to give the match reviews their own little bubble, we will not be reviewing Crystal Palace games because you can do that here on the channel with the rest of us. So unfortunately, if you're looking for Palace reviews, yeah, nah, not today. But let's go into the comments. We've got CM with, again, I know I say it every single time, fantastic intro. Guys, big him up because that was what a lovely intro. We've got Louis here. Hello, Louis. We've got the man himself with Nick's debut show. Yes, I'm a little bit excited, if a little bit. And we've also got Dan here, down to 10. Hello. So, guys, shall we get started, Nathan?
Yeah, let's do it, mate.
Let's do it, the man says. So, we're getting started with Brentford versus Leeds United, a game that ended 5-2, a fantastic game by the home side at the GTEC Community Stadium. Before we get into it, Brentford have really been impressing. Obviously, they're coming off of they've had some very good results, and their team is very well organised, like they were from last season. The key highlight in this game is definitely Ivan Toney's hat-trick. Absolutely astounding player. And of course, the game started pretty early on with a penalty against Leeds for a foul judged on Ivan Toney. Or was it handball? Because no one really knew. But anyway, it was a stonewall pen. Referee gave it. And Ivan Toney, for his 50th goal for Brentford, knocked it out of the park, giving them a 1-0 lead. And what a player. Then, in the 41st minute, of course, Ivan Toney steps up from a free kick of a Leeds foul just outside the box, and he wallops it right into the top corner, and it is 2-0, and it does look like Leeds are a little bit shaky. So but then just before we think it's all over for the halftime whistle, Sinistera steps up, flicks over the ball over Rico Henry, and just outside the box, knocks it right beyond the Brentford goalkeeper for 2-1 into half-time. And Louis has said it right there. Brentford are looking scary right now, which they are now. Do you agree with that?
I mean, obviously, they played us on Tuesday just gone, so literally a week ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, we looked at that point and we're like, not a great point at home because we were 1-0 up and last few minutes decided to go full-blown charity professional football club, as is the norm. But you got to give Brentford credit. Obviously, they put Man United away 4-0 at the start of the season, which, let's be real, nobody would have backed that scoreline, even if Manchester United aren't necessarily at that point firing on all cylinders. They've got on to win 4-4 then, to be fair to Manchester United. But yeah, the disrespect Brentford get is kind of like old school Premier League arrogance where, this team isn't much. Who cares about them? They're not that great. But when you play them, you're like, you know what? They're a proper outfit. So to get a big win at home in front of their own fans against a fairly decent Leeds team, it's not to be turn your nose up at. But you know how it works, Nick. The second a team gets a good result, everybody starts trying to throw, the flowers at them. But yeah, I thought they were very, very impressive. So it was good for them to get the result.
Yeah. Of course, we go into the second half, and Ivan Toney, absolutely out of nowhere, has the ball out from Meslier, the Leeds goalkeeper, has come way out, and credit to him because any goalkeeper should have come out for that lead up into the goal. But then it goes straight over to Leeds defenders and into the back of the net for Ivan Toney's hat trick. And an interesting stat that I found was that out of the, I think it's now 15, might be more than that, but Ivan Toney has contributed to nearly half of the Brentford goals this season alone, which highlights how great he really, really is and how dangerous he's looking up front for Brentford. But then controversy strikes early. Here we go. We have to get a counter for VAR calls for this weekend because VAR bad call numero uno. We have a Leeds penalty denied. Now, there was a shirt pulling just on the edge of the box that was let go, but then Leeds player goes down inside the box and penalty is not given. Now, of course, Jesse Marsh, Leeds manager, is absolutely beside himself and then decides to really, really show his emotions, of which he then gets sent off by the match official. He's sent to the back. Looking back on it, definite penalty for me. I would definitely say so. And well, Leeds definitely feel aggravated there. But almost around about 15 minutes later, in the 79th minute, Roker for Leeds makes it 3-2 with an assist from Ayling with a very, very good setup and a very, very clean finish. But you'd think Leeds are in the game, not for long, because almost seconds later from the kickoff, Mbeumo scores. Now, he was very, very, very dangerous against Palace. So going into it, we knew that he would be on form, of which he was. VAR checking for offside on his goal, but it was given eventually, making it 4-2. And then 11 minutes later, to wrap up the game, we with a goal. Llorente, what were you doing, mate? You were caught napping. Very, very poor, making it Brentford 5. Brentford fans will be discussing, is Ivan Toney due for an England call-up? Now, I think if I have it correct here, yes, Ivan Toney since August 2021 is the third highest English striker. Why is he not in the England team? So, with the international break coming up, Gareth Southgate has definitely got his work cut out to choose his squad. We have Matt Smith, one of our friends of the channel, an Everton fan. Hopefully, Matt, you'll stick around and hear what we have to say about the Merseyside derby. Thank you very much for joining us. Nathan, anything more to add to Brentford versus Leeds?
Good win for Brentford. Much needed, especially because they would have looked at the game at Selhurst Park and said they should have won that, because they would have seen us as 3 points the same way we would have seen them. So to go out in style and beat Leeds 5-2, it shows that Brentford want to stay here for more than one season, because a lot of people said, oh, they'll fall victim to the second season syndrome, as it were. But very rarely do clubs suffer from that nowadays, which is good to see, because you want to see more so-called underdog teams break in from the Football League into the Premier League. And Brentford were in the fourth tier, go back as far as, I think, 2012. So to go from League Two to Premier League in the space of 10 years, it takes some doing. And obviously we've seen clubs like Swansea get there as well. So can Brentford sustain it long term? That remains to be seen. But to see them do this well and get such a result like that, it's not the first time a team starting with B and a team starting with L have had a hell of a 5-2 game. But we'll get into the next one when it's time for that one. But yeah, listen, solid result for Brentford. Not a worrying result for Leeds, but you do kind of worry at conceding 5 goals away at an arguably poorer side in terms of Leeds fans' perceptions of Brentford. They wouldn't see Brentford as a team they're on par with. But if you let in 5 goals, you're not as good as you think you are. So it all depends on how Leeds react in their next game.
A strong win for Brentford indeed, and work to be done for Leeds United going into next week and into this weekend rather. Heading on to our next game, we are going up to City Ground, Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. Now, two teams that suffered at the hands of the two strongest teams of the division. Of course, Nottingham Forest losing 6-0 to a very game at Manchester City, and of course Bournemouth conceding 9 against Liverpool, and Mohamed Salah having nothing to do with it. So going into it, we actually have a bit of a nice moment for this one, because the first goal comes in the 33rd minute rather. 33rd minute from a familiar face to us Palace fans. Cheku Kayate off a corner from Morgan Gibbs-White with a very, very strong header, making it 1-0. It's quite nice to see. It's nice to still see him in a Premier League shirt. He deserves that. Do you agree with that one, Nathan?
100%. I think we actually missed Kuyate, ironically, against Brentford. He would have been perfect for the Brentford game. But obviously, we chose not to give him a new contract. I think he wanted more than the 1 year that we're offering at clubs now. And as Dan says, here. I swear Kouyaté has scored more goals for Forest than he did for us now. But to be fair, Kouyaté under Roy Hodgson was never really the kind of midfielder you'd expect to score goals. He was more used as a centre-back, which kind of shows you the absolute level of hammerhead decisions that we were allowed to have at Selhurst Park under Roy's tenure, is that Roy was literally expected to turn gravel into a diamond when, let's be real, you struggle to do that at the best of times. Sorry, coal to a diamond to get the analogy right. But obviously, look, to see Kouyaté score, albeit his team were on the wrong end of the result come the final whistle, it is great to see, but I do worry that Forest have maybe done what QPR did, which is sign anyone and anyone with Premier League experience and hope to God they've done enough to keep themselves in the league for more than one season. Now, don't get me wrong, for a club their size, they should be in the Premier League, 2 European Cups, and this is before the European Cup became the Champions League, so it was a lot harder to win it in the old European Cup days. Obviously, people might disagree with that, but a solid win for Bournemouth, badly needed after taking an absolute hammering at Liverpool. And you look at Liverpool against Everton there in the Merseyside derby, and you're thinking, are you sure they put 9 goals past Bournemouth? They don't look it to me. But that's the thing now, is that Liverpool have their days where they can absolutely steamroll someone and make it look at a cricket score, make it look men against boys. And then the next game, they look as if they're 11 strangers in red-coloured shirts. So
there you
I
go.
know Matt's probably somewhere in and around the chat, so he probably doesn't want us to talk too much about Liverpool. But credit to Bournemouth, got the job done in the end. Obviously, they sacked Scott Parker, which I felt was a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I think he should have been given more time. He says he wasn't backed in the transfer window. You'd have to agree. There's still a lot of players there from their time in the Championship. But look, they got the win. It doesn't really matter how you get the win. It's that you get the win that matters. And unfortunately for Forest and Kouyaté, just on the wrong side of the scoreline. But hey, that's the Premier League for you.
It is the Premier League. So we go on. We're moving on to the just into added on time, just before the half-time whistle is blown, and Nottingham Forest are awarded a penalty by Michael Oliver, judged to be a handball by Lloyd Kelly. It is a penalty. Watched it back from many, many angles. It is a penalty. It's harsh, but Lloyd Kelly, if ever your team needs a spare goalkeeper, you're the one. You're the one. VAR has checked it. Michael Oliver is told to be overruled, to change his decision, but Michael Oliver stands his ground, awards the penalty. He was in a good position to see it, and he does give the penalty, which is put very well away by Johnson, making it 2-0 into the second half. We go. In the 51st minute, Philip Billing with, I think, one of the strongest contenders for goal of the month already. We're only 6 days in, and we've already had stunning goals scored. Philip Billing with an amazing, well-struck strike to make it 2-1, and Bournemouth are back into the game. And then 12 minutes later, I don't know what happened to Nottingham Forest, but maybe they got a little bit complacent with the defence. But Dominic Solanke, for his 50th Bournemouth goal, makes it 2-2, an assist by Lloyd Kelly. And it is all Bournemouth from then on. Nottingham Forest barely able to keep up with Bournemouth's press. And of course, Jaden Anthony with an assist from Dominic Solanke, his first touch for his first Premier League goal in the 87th minute, makes it a perfect comeback. Absolutely astounding to go from 2-0 down to 3-2 up to finish the game. It's a good day out for those South Coast supporters. Forest, are very, very unlucky, you'd have to say. But Bournemouth, they didn't let their heads get down. And there's Nate with some good stats there. He's only got to get one more, then he's equaled it. And here is the chairman. He says, Bournemouth changed to 3 at the back, and Forest couldn't cope with it. You are correct with that one. Dead on correct. I really think game plans this season we've seen so far are getting thrown out the window so quickly because so many teams are playing very in their own little way. But Gary O'Neill, the interim Bournemouth manager, he has the ability right now to change everything because he doesn't know if he doesn't know if he wants the job. He's not been approached yet. Bournemouth fans certainly might want him in. Well, now we're going to move on to perhaps maybe the most controversial game of the Saturdays. Maybe one of them. One of our two London derbies, Chelsea versus West Ham United. West versus East. Now, always interesting to see how this game goes because Chelsea have a good record against West Ham, especially at Stamford Bridge, having only lost one of the last 17 matches against the Hammers. But the first half, you could have got out your deck chair, you could have gotten a tan, you might as well have just gone to bed. First half, nothing to report. All of my notes are all for the second half because nothing happened in the first. Chelsea and West Ham didn't even get a shot on target until the second half, which is bad considering the talent with both London teams.
Sounds like a Roy Hodgson team.
It does. It certainly. I don't think it actually certainly does. Well, we'll move on to the first goal, and it's Michail Antonio, a very, very good striker and one of my favourite in the Premier League, if you ask me. He scores from a corner, and it's a massive, massive scramble. Chelsea defence looking all over the place, which is not something you say every day. But, of course, this game was the highlight for Wesley Fofana. Hello, David. Big up yourself, mate. Thank you for joining us.
Big up to David Lee. Big up, my friend.
Wesley Fofana making his debut for Chelsea after Leicester have done it again. They've somehow made a big team pay boatloads of money for a centre-back. Whether Fofana turns out to be a Maguire type or better remains to be seen. But Antonio's goal was rushed in from a corner. It's a massive, massive scramble when he finally gets a touch to it, and it goes into the back of the net. A just selling impression, really? I'm kind of
little bit.
Thank you very much.
We gotta keep this. We gotta keep this
I
entertaining.
do indeed try.
David Lee with plenty of eagle emojis in the chat. We'd love to see that. We'd love to see that.
I'm not about to start sending it out to Cammy if there's a red card. I'm just saying it now.
Well,
moving on.
14 minutes tomorrow, though,
minutes later, in the obviously we love him. And hang on, I've got to highlight this because
we got to Luke.
Hello, Luke. We're gonna go over to the 76th minute, and it's Ben Chilwell who comes off the bench, and immediately, as soon as Chilwell comes off the bench, the game changes because Ben Chilwell, I wouldn't necessarily call him someone who can change the tempo of a game, but he can certainly add to the spice of a game, and he certainly does that with out of nowhere. Thiago Silva sends a lobbed ball over to him on the left-hand side of the pitch, and Chilwell knocks it over two players and then pops it, which you really think from a certain angle it looks like it's just about to drift wide, but it rolls in and it hits in for 1-1, and he has his first goal since his injury. So big up to him. And then it's so agonizingly close to going in, but unfortunately it doesn't. And then in the 88th minute, Kai Havertz, from an assist from Ben Chilwell with a fantastic low ball, I have to say, makes it 2-1. So if you've got Ben Chilwell in your FPL, you are living the dream today. And then VAR decision numero dos. How? Now, I cannot insist. How this was not a goal is beyond me. So, Oh, to describe this one, Jared Bowen goes one-on-one with, not so much one-on-one, with Mendy, and Mendy goes to ground. Bowen looks to step over him, and his trailing foot catches Mendy in the shoulder area or in the chest area. By the way that Mendy was holding himself, it was almost everywhere. He was hurt. And the ball goes in. Everyone is celebrating from Cornet in the West Ham corner, and then VAR intervenes. For what, I do not know, because it's judged to be a foul, even though Bowen did nothing. And David Moyes is aggrieved. He says it was one of the most shocking decisions he's ever seen. And of course, he actually went out and said he has lost faith in refereeing in English football. You can certainly understand why. Declan Rice put out a tweet after the game for which, for some reason, he had to apologise.
Sorry, Nicky. One second. Just big up to Dan for this comment. He says, I heard that when West Ham fans cry, their tears drift away as bubbles.
I'm not going to poke the boat. I'm not going to rock the ship. I'm not going to poke the bear.
Hey, no, listen. Football banter is one thing. To be fair, I've heard a few things that West Ham fans have said about other London clubs. So,
oh yeah, well,
if you can say that sort of thing, you've got to be able to, be on the other side of the coin. Plus, to be fair,
yeah, if you can deliver it, you must take it.
I've heard some red hot jokes about West Ham's anthem, so I won't say it now. We're not at the watershed, but I'll put it in the private chat for you to read, Nicky.
Mendy was faking being injured. He knew he was beat. I agree with you on this one, Neil. I definitely do agree. I think he was faking being injured. But how? It's just one of those decisions that really hurt. I might have gone then. VAR was supposed to be minimum interference, maximum. I forgot what Alan Shearer said on Match of the Day. But he made a good he made a good point on. It's a shocking decision. How it's a goal is unbelievable, and West Ham are robbed from a well-earned point because I think they did certainly deserve a point from that game there. But a Stonewall goal robbed, Cornet robbed of his goal, and West Ham aggrieved in a London derby. Now we're going to move on to our second London derby. And it's only now that I realise I could have put who scored the goals on the ticker tape. We learn as we do, guys. We learn as we do.
So Dan says, what do you two think of VAR generally?
It's good discussion to have.
Look, when VAR is used the correct way, it's a great thing to catch things that the referee in real time cannot see. Bear in mind, refereeing, you have a split down the middle decision to make. You can't just call it in the middle. You have to go yes or no on most decisions, right? But sometimes the referee can't see it all, and it's damn near impossible for them to get it right. Even when they get it right, people say, no, they got it wrong. However, the way it's implemented at Stockley Park in Premier League games, it's embarrassing. Because we saw in the 2018 Russian World Cup, any VAR decision, it was done within 30 seconds. They looked at it, they spoke to the referee, told him, yep, penalty, no penalty, yellow card, red card, whatever. The Premier League, it takes 5 minutes for a decision to be made. And we saw that ever since VAR has come through. Obviously, from a Crystal Palace perspective, we'll look at, for example, the penalty from Liverpool last season in January of this year. Jota wins a penalty for a fairly impressive theatrical performance of falling to the floor with gravity tripping him over because Guaitan didn't get near him until he actually hit him. Penalties given. Then we look at the penalty that was given at Selhurst Park against Aston Villa, where it was not a handball. And you're thinking, well, wait a minute, one was a penalty, the other, well, neither were penalties, but VAR decides to intervene on the most random of things. Bear in mind, as I mentioned when I said to Rich a few times, you look at the VAR decision in the Palace Villa game where Jeffrey Schlupp had a goal disallowed. Marcus Rashford scored an identical goal. Exact same position.
Yeah.
Given. Jeffrey Schlupp, offside. Sorry? Now, they're saying Edouard was offside, but point is, the player that played in Rashford was offside as well, but that was given. So, as Damo here says, it's fixed. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think Mark Halsey said that referees are pressured to give more favourable decisions to the bigger clubs. That's not really a shock. You see that in a lot of major sports, such as the NBA. Very rarely does a lower so-called franchise get big calls in big basketball games, particularly in the playoffs, but we're not here to talk about basketball. But the point is, yes, VAR is an issue in England because I think the way it's being used, we're not hearing what's being said. If fans could hear what was being said either at home or you were made aware of what was going on, you'd say, okay, do you know what? Fair play. I see why they've given it. But because it's all very much in the referee's ear and there's no feedback to fans who are watching it on telly or watching it on a stream, you've no idea why it's being given or not being given. So the system itself is not broken. It's the way it's being implemented is broken. That's what I would say. Nicky, you still there?
I think I got nipping there.
I was thinking that because, yeah.
That's
did
fun.
you get nipping?
Nippened on my first show. I did get nippened. I did. On my very first show. Great.
Look, it's a rite of passage on this. Everybody gets nippened. Pause.
More so on my decision on VAR, I think it needs to be implemented much like the TMO over in rugby union. Yeah, it strikes. I didn't freeze. So yeah, I think referees need to be. We need to hear what's being said. But then obviously implementing that is difficult because then referees might not agree with it. You know, you've always got whingers on both sides. VAR itself, at the moment, it doesn't enhance the game; it hurts the game. I think we need the system. We do need it, but at the moment, it's being implemented wrong. And I want to highlight Neil's comment here again. VAR is great. The people who use it are clueless. Yes, I completely agree on that one. That is my opinion of the VAR system in the Premier League at the moment. We'll move on to the second of our London derbies. We are moving on to North London versus West London, Spurs versus Fulham, and not much to write about this one. Pretty cut and dry Spurs and Fulham performances here. Højbjerg with a goal off a Richarlison assist in the 40th minute, making it 1-0. Not much else happening in the first half beyond a Son goal ruled out for offside due to Kane's interference. Whether he was judged to have touched it, it couldn't be said. So the goal was disallowed. Son coming ever so close to scoring some great goals in this game, but unfortunately, no gold medal for him today. We move on all the way over into the second half, and Kane gets his goal. Poor defending by Fulham. They fall asleep, and he's able to knock in yet another goal. I know Kane is I believe he's one of your strikers on your FPL, Nathan. So I'm sure you're happy to see him knocking a fair few.
Well, considering I was told to put him in my fantasy Premier League team, yeah.
But no. You weren't told. You were told to take him off your bench. You have him you had him benched. When he scored a hat-trick, you had him benched. No, not when he scored a hat-trick. No, when he scored 2. when he scored 2. I don't know how you had him on your bench. Oh dear, it's not looking good. Let's just say that for Nate in the Eagle-Eyed Fantasy Football League at the moment, because
You say it's not looking good. Well, hang on.
Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
oh no.
It had to be done. But
Had
Dan
to be
says,
done.
mate,
Had to be
I'm
done.
director for his FPL. Hey, it is what it is. As long as I don't finish bottom of the Premier League predictions, I don't care about FPL, mate. I've made that clear from the start.
You don't
If
win
I don't
anything
finish...
for it.
Has he froze again?
With I haven't froze again.
You were briefly frozen for a second. No, but see, this is the thing. I don't want to be doing a forfeit at the end of the season among the lot of us. So there is that to remember, bear in mind. So, yeah. Because bear in mind, whoever finishes last, the other 4 decide the forfeit. So, yeah. Not really looking to be that guy here. So, you know.
I'll say it now. I am not doing what Martin did the other during the Villa game. I am not drinking Ray and Nephew again. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I'm not. I had 3 the other night, and oh, it's like it's like smelling paint thinner and then drinking it. It's nice once it's over and done with, but painful.
Painful. There's a way to describe that, Nick. 1 second.
Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Oh God, but that's not going to get old anytime soon, now is it, guys?
Right, listen. This is eagle-eyed football. There's no such thing as things get old here. We like to make sure that we keep things entertaining. But let's quickly rattle through the Spurs-Fulham game, Nicky. Obviously, Spurs got the job done. Fulham will be fine this year. I think they've learned their lessons from the last 2 times they came up from the champ. Obviously, the first time they spent an awful lot of money on players that just didn't fit the system, didn't fit the style of play. The season after that, when Scott Parker was manager, again, same thing. They weren't really, 100% on it and got relegated as a consequence. Whereas now, you got to say they look half decent. Mitrovic apparently has broken that championship striker curse, which affects a lot of people, because I remember when we got promoted, people were telling us, Matej Vidra's a better striker than Glenn Murray. Sorry, who? Vidra. The brother that flopped at West Brom. All right, say nothing. But, listen, it's Tottenham. Obviously, it's very funny when Tottenham concede and you're watching an Expressions watch along. That is pure entertainment, because that guy has full-blown nuclear meltdowns. It's always amusing watching Expressions have a meltdown.
Certainly is.
Having said that, you would expect Spurs to win this kind of a game, because Spurs would be the natural selection there. But not to shout out Ric Flair, by the way. But of course, it's important to take these kind of games in the context where most people would have backed Spurs to win, and Fulham. Let's be fair, Fulham don't expect to win these games in terms of the London derbies. They tend to look at ourselves, Brentford, West Ham, as teams that they can nick points off of. Obviously, they did play Brentford, I think, last weekend. I think they played them when we played Villa. Sorry. So it's about 2-3 weeks ago. So, as results go, it's not great for Fulham in terms of their points, but some teams have got
Mitrovic,
Spurs and gotten shellackled.
Certainly seems he's. Yeah, Alexander Mitrovic certainly does seem he is on form, scoring yet again, often a brilliant assist from Kenny Tete, a great counter-attack by Fulham. That is it for all the goals in the game, but then Richarlison makes himself a meme again. 2 games in a row he's done this. He scores, he's offside, takes off his shirt, and is booked for it. That's twice now. First he does the keepy uppies and gets clattered for it, and then he does this. It's becoming a fun old day for Richarlison. We're going to move on. We're going to go to Aston Villa Manchester City. Now, Manchester City, they look like they're running away with it already. If it's not for Arsenal and Aston Villa, there's a lot of work to be done. But early on in the game, Kyle Walker has a chance, and he's right. He's on the right hand side of the goal. He's got Erling Haaland free, and he blasts it over. Is he all right? Is he dumb? Is he trying to cost me? Is he trying to cost me FPL points? Yeah. Is he trying to just like blast it over so I don't get FPL points and I don't overtake Rich? Is this what it is? Cool, Kyle Walker. We'll have words. Please don't kill me. That's pretty much it for the first half. That's it. Villa coped well with Manchester City, but it's gonna be that number 9, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Erling Haaland, with I think this is his 11th Premier League goal already. Scores after a cross from Kevin De Bruyne. And my point about Erling Haaland, having watched him from Dortmund to now in Man City, I think honestly the positioning, or at least his positioning for himself, is insane. I don't know a single striker who can get himself into such positions, lose his markers so easily, and then just smacks it into the back of the net every single time. The man does not miss. He makes it 1-0, and then Aston Villa wake up because Villa pepper the City goal with chance after chance after chance. Jacob Ramsey is key here because he has a chance against Ederson, but just takes one too many touches and it rolls right into Ederson, and unfortunately he can't get away with that. But he does assist Leon Bailey for a great first time touch to make it 1-1, and then we bring ourselves to, well, this isn't a VAR call, but it's a referee call, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna bring ourselves to referee bad decision numero 3, because Philip Coutinho is judged to be offside when he wasn't, and the referee, the linesman has flagged, and referee blows his whistle just before Philip Coutinho releases a great shot from outside the box, and it is disallowed. Now, how the linesman judged Philip Coutinho to be offside, I do not know, because Coutinho was well onside, but he did flag. VAR cannot intervene in that, I'm afraid. Sorry, Villa fans. Sorry, Martin. With that decision, because the referee had already blown his whistle. Unfortunately, it ends with Villa and City sharing the points. And going back to the Chelsea game, David Lee says Tuchel in the mud. That remains to be seen. At the moment, you would certainly say so, because if I'm right, I last check, Chelsea were losing in their Champions League game, to the delight of the rest of the world. Let me assure you, we're not gonna move on. Nate, what did you make of the Villa game?
Solid point for Villa. For City, you'd argue realistically they can afford to drop points, because the one team they were probably worried about have fallen off a cliff, being Liverpool. I know some people will say, what about Arsenal? But let's be real. Arsenal have had, on paper, a fairly favourable start, having played ourselves and a few other teams that you'd expect Arsenal to get points from, and they did. Can't knock that they won 5 from 5 before they played Manchester United. But yeah, look, I mean, obviously Arsenal are a point clear of City as the table reads, but it is what it is. I think of the two teams, Villa will be more happier with the point than City will. But if City realistically can keep the momentum they have going, they could pull away because I think a lot of teams are sleeping on the fact that City now have the clinical striker they didn't have last season. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus was by no means a bad signing or a bad player, but he wasn't Aguero, and he's damn sure not Haaland. So,
No.
you know, he's in that grey area of he's a good centre forward and a good goal scorer, but he's not to the echelon of the man who he's come in to replace and the man who came in to replace him. So,
yeah, that's true.
It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. But let's move on quickly because I can't stay on for too much longer. We'll quickly jump into Wolves Southampton. There we go. Not much really to say about this, really.
Not much at all, because it's a very, very scrappy game. Podence with the only goal from an assist from Nunez, making it 1-0. Che Adams.
Confirmed. Chelsea have indeed lost to Zagreb.
It's a funny old word.
Well, do you know what?
Che Adams.
In honor of that defeat, sorry, Nicky, but in honor of that defeat, Chelsea fans.
Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Had to be done.
Had to be done. A very, very scrappy game. Che Adams has a goal disallowed because he heads it into the goal with his arm. Put your arm down, Che. You would have had a point. Oh dear, but not much else to say.
Man here says Zagreb played very well, to be fair. I wouldn't mind their centre-back Sutalo. Dougie Freedman, you know what to do. David Lee's obviously reacting to our little tribute to Chelsea, as is King KB. Big up to the King. How you doing, brother? You good? Yeah, look, Nicky, I won't lie to you. These kind of games, right? The scoreline suggests it was a fairly flat game, nothing to talk about. But the one thing you would say is Wolves got the job done. Maybe controversially with a goal disallowed or what have you. I don't think it was. I think it was a totally fair thing. But what can you say? If you win 1-0, clean sheet, 3 points, you're laughing. So let's talk about the Merseyside derby, because this is how you know
derby.
Referees are full of it, because former Premier League referee Dermot Gallagher said that the tackle that Van Dijk put in on the Everton player was a yellow card. Now, the same challenge with the coin flipped, so it's an Everton player doing that to Virgil van Dijk. You can bet your house, your mortgage, your wife, he would have said it's a red card. Because, look, I can call it down the middle. I don't support either of these teams. For me, it's a red card on either side of that divide. But obviously, Merseyside derbies are never, ever easy to predict. Obviously, most people would look at the two teams and say, well, Liverpool should beat Everton. But that derby is a different kind of game to most games in the Premier League, because bear in mind, there are families on either side of the divide. There's Blues and Reds living in the same families. So it's never going to be one of those games where one team just runs away with it, with the exception of maybe the derbies at Anfield. But at Goodison, I think the last 6 of the last 8 or something along those lines have finished in 0-0 draws. So it's not a foregone conclusion.
And the whole reason why that game remained the way it did was because of the goalkeepers. Now, I want to say Jordan Pickford certainly deserves a superhero cape, because the amount of saves he pulled off in this game were insane. What you could have, I don't know what you could have done to beat Jordan Pickford. It didn't look like he could be beaten on the early kickoff, but not much else to say about that game, because it wasn't a 0-0, but it wasn't an event. It wasn't a boring 0-0 by any means. Liverpool peppering the Everton defence with chances after chances. Everton taking their own, of course, as well, having retained the services of Anthony Gordon. He comes close with a fair few chances as well, as does Mopé on his debut. Very good 0-0 draw for both teams. Frank Lampard will certainly take it, but
I'd say more so Everton than Liverpool.
That remains to be seen.
I would say it's more a good result for Everton, because I saw the lads on Kopish reaction, and they were not remotely happy. I mean, rightly so. This is a big game that any Liverpool fan would win 100%. But you're looking at it and you're saying Everton are nowhere near their strongest like they were under David Moyes. Liverpool by no means are at their strongest under Jurgen Klopp, but you'd still back Liverpool to win this, even though, as I said before, 6 of the last 8 or something to that effect have been 0-0 draws. But let's move on to Manchester United versus Arsenal. Now, obviously, when Get Amped was on last night, Hamza and Orest, God love them, they wanted to jump in, but you've got to remember, Get Amped is now a watershed show. So if you're under the age, you ain't getting on. But look, this is, and Nicky, you'll back me up, this used to be the game of the season back in the day. It didn't matter who was playing who, anywhere else in the country. The second it was Man United Arsenal, this was the game you watched. Wenger and Fergie,
definitely.
Vieira and Keane, Van Nistelrooy and Henry, Campbell and Rio Ferdinand. There were battles all across the pitch. But to be fair to Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag may have just started to turn the corner somewhat, because obviously a lot of people, us included, were loving the fact that they lost to Brighton and Brentford in successive games and got humiliated by Brentford. But I think that did teach him about what kind of squad he's inherited from several, not just one, but several Manchester United managers, because there's a lot of players in that squad that should have been moved on years ago, and some of them shouldn't even have been signed. Let's be honest. But when it came to it, Anthony gets a goal on his debut. Rashford gets 2 goals. Arsenal do pull a goal back. They have a goal disallowed, which...
I think I'm in again.
Yeah. You know, it's... For me, I look at it both ways. It could have been given. They've chosen to rule it out. I think it was a foul. So I think, for me personally, it was the correct decision. But again, everybody's going to have a different take on it. So what did you make of it?
Very, very strong performance by Manchester United. Certainly, this was a game that they needed to win. They needed to, and they showed it. Anthony getting his first goal, I think that was crucial for him, given the fact that Ajax kept saying no to United. He certainly delivered. Should Arsenal have had that goal allowed when it was judged to be a foul on Eriksen? No, that was a definite foul on Christian Eriksen, I think. Arsenal did very, very well to try and come back into the game, but then obviously Marcus Rashford offered out of nowhere. Rashford just takes it round and the defense, and Ben White does what he has to do. He slides in, he tries to get to the ball, but it does come off of him just ever so slightly in order for it to go into the back of the net. And Marcus Rashford then finishes it all off, making it 3-1. This is the result that Manchester United needed. Less so they needed a win, but I just think they needed this result against this particular team because it's a good measuring stick of where they are now. So Ten Hag has had his first month. That's it. Forget about it. Move on from Brentford now, United fans. Put it in the back of your minds. Keep looking forwards now. You've got a strong win. You're going into European. I mean, the meme that going around is that Mikel Arteta had the old FIFA forfeit match going like that.
Yeah, delete club. Yeah.
Ouch.
Well, look, once we get them out of the way on Sunday, we don't have to hear about Man United fans until we play them at Old Trafford. So let's just get Sunday out. But no, listen, to United, credit to them. They were very, very impressive. Now, Nick, as you'll back me up on this, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And just when you think you're back at the top, you could get swiped off. But King K here says, Eric Ten Hag schooled Mikel Arteta when he brought on CR7 and Arsenal switched to a high line. I mean, look, Mikel Arteta hasn't really come up against a very strong opponent as of yet this season. This was his first test. And, you know, he didn't do terrible, but he didn't do great either. So, with that being said, we'll go on to the game we're probably most reluctantly likely to talk about, with being who's at home here. But to be fair to them, and we're trying to be very impartial here, that's a statement by Graham Potter. Because obviously,
statement win, yes.
As much as it hurts me to see them do well, he does deserve it because a lot of people, me included, wrote him off. But look at the job he's doing down there on the South Coast.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great display. But we do have to talk about the man on the opposite side of the dugout. And when it comes to Brendan Rodgers, I mean, I promised this would be the last time we use this, but it's got to be done again.
Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
It's not looking good indeed, because Brendan Rodgers, he did come out, he did say transfers not going to be a thing for them. Obviously, they let go of Schmeichel, they've let go of Fofana. It's not, as the video said, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. But is this the way that Leicester are going? Will this continue for them? No. That's my opinion. Obviously, they did get 2 goals. Some well-taken goals in this game from both sides, but Brighton certainly had enough class to see them off and earn a well-earned 3 points with a hatful of goals that I never saw. I never expected them to even get 3 past Leicester, let alone 5. So credit to them. Credit to the people up front.
It hurts to say that.
It so does. It really, really hurt. Like, I think I died a little.
Look, we're trying to be impartial here. Credit to them. Hell of a result. Hopefully, that's their big performance out of the way for when we play them, because I want to humble them. But we shall see, because I'm worried about that fixture, to tell you the truth.
Well, there's more reasons to be worried about that fixture, because if you don't know, guys, here is the little that I think Brighton have formally requested the game be moved. I think they've asked for a reprieve because of the train strikes that are occurring on that weekend, which would mean that is it at Selhurst?
No, it's at the Amex. So
is it the Amex?
It's at the Amex, so it's going to be an absolute bugger to get to, because you've got to get the train down to Brighton and then the train to Falmer. So, yeah, if you've ever been on the trains out of Brighton to Falmer, no.
Well, we will keep you posted as soon as we know more on that. We shall. Sky Sports News settings right here.
The chairman saying here, Leicester are in trouble. They lost £117 million last season, according to the BBC with FFP. I mean, to be honest, look, Leicester have done well to be where they are, because the Premier League title success was wonderful for the Premier League. It was great. I know. I've seen the comment. One second, Nicky. 1 second. I've seen it. Here saying, man, they sold us an £8 million fridge. I hope they lose another 117 million. Listen, Manchester United were willing to pay the money. You've got to look at what your club's doing with its own money, King. Bear in mind, we sold you a £45 million car horse, and we're still laughing that we sold you Wan-Bissaka $45 million. How did Dougie do it? How did he do it?
Magic.
But look, with Leicester, I'm a level with you. He will not be at he's gone if they don't get a win this season, because I'm fairly certain they've only got 1 point from the first 6. The only thing that's saving them is that they have a point, because bear in mind, the only time where a club looked bang in trouble after 6-7 games was us in 17-18.
Well, they are rock bottom,
we won none, drawn none, lost 7, and our goal of the month was Bakary Sacco and then Carabao Cup on loop. That's how bad it was. Yeah. That was the thing. But we'll quickly run through the Premier League table, and then we'll call it. To an end. So, looking at the Premier League table, we have 1 second. There we go.
I've got it right here.
I have it here in front of me. So we have Arsenal, Manchester City, Tottenham, and Brighton making up the top 4. It hurts me seeing them there, but it is 6 games in, and the table does take shape after 10 games, roughly. So we'll see. Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Brentford, Leeds, and Fulham complete the top 10. We then have Newcastle, Southampton, Bournemouth, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Everton, and Aston Villa from 11th to 17th. And in the bottom 3, it's West Ham United, Nottingham Forest, and Leicester City. I'm not going to lie. Leicester's last 5 has been pure
Interesting.
L's. Leicester have got more L's than a Welsh town, mate. That's mad. That is mad.
Interestingly, Everton and Leicester, the only 2 teams without a win so far. So, before we finish, we will look ahead to the upcoming games. So, here on the set here, when we will be back with you, we have Saturday's games are very, very spicy indeed. We have Fulham versus Chelsea. The West London derby makes a return for the early kickoff, and the 3:00 kickoffs are as follows: Bournemouth and Brighton in a bit of a South Coast little battle there. Leicester and Aston Villa, Liverpool and Wolves, Southampton and Brentford, and our late kickoff being Manchester City versus Tottenham. Some very, very good games there indeed. And moving on to the Sunday, we have Arsenal versus Everton, West Ham United versus Newcastle United, and this is going to be a good one. It's going to be good. 4:30 kickoff, Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. And then finally, the return of Monday Night Football. I really feel like I'm working for Sky Sports here, saying all that. Leeds United versus Nottingham Forest.
A proper old school throwback fixture from back in the Division 1 days.
That's going to be a good game to watch. I'm looking forward to watching that myself.
Ellen Road. 100%.
So some exciting games there, of course.
Mm-hmm. This has been
the
Premier League review. No, you're cool. Listen, it is what it is. This has been the Premier League review show. He's Nick. I'm Nate. We're both the Chuckle Brothers. And we're out, people.
Questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Van Cam's reactions, watch along to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.